Welcome to today's hearing on the science behind hydraulic fracturing. I'll recognize myself for an opening statement and then the ranking member. The combination of hydraulic fracturing and directional drilling, called fracking, is arguably one of the most significant technological advancements in the history of the oil and gas industry. This technological breakthrough has helped create hundreds of thousands of jobs, been the catalyst for a resurging manufacturing sector, and has enabled our nation to become more energy independent. But as with any type of technological progress from oil and gas development, any risk must be evaluated carefully by the use of verifiable science. Unfortunately, opponents of hydraulic fracturing make claims based on the possibility and not the probability of associated risk. The Environmental Protection Agency has used this agenda-driven approach to wrongly assert a connection between hydraulic fracturing and groundwater contamination. For example, in Parker County, Texas, the EPA issued an unprecedented order that halted natural gas development, only to have the Texas Railroad Commission investigate and find the EPA was wrong. In Pavilion, Wyoming, the EPA released a draft report that claimed hydraulic fracturing caused water contamination. However, it was later discovered that the report had several glaring weaknesses. Among them, the report failed to take into account naturally occurring natural gas. It was not peer-reviewed. It involved poor sampling and lacked data transparency. The EPA was forced to abandon its investigation. Then in Dimock, Pennsylvania, the EPA reinitiated an investigation into groundwater contamination after it had first agreed there was no contamination. 7 months later, the EPA indicated that oil and gas development was not the cause of the contamination. It appears that the decision to reinitiate the investigation was based on political pressure from activists who oppose hydraulic fracturing. It is incredible, given their track record, that the EPA is now working on another large study to suggest a causal connection between hydraulic fracturing and groundwater contamination. Their refusal to accept good science knows no bounds, which is why we should be suspect of other findings by the EPA. Their political agenda drives their science agenda. Perhaps most troubling is that EPA's study of fracking does not include a risk assessment in their analysis. This means the study will be focused on possible problems with hydraulic fracturing rather than what is likely or probable. The mere possibility that something may occur will do little to help regulators evaluate the overall process. The science overwhelmingly shows that hydraulic fracturing can be done in an environmentally safe manner. Even the administration agrees and has repeatedly said that potential risk can be avoided through modern technologies based on sound science. President Obama has stated that, quote, "We should strengthen our position as the top natural gas producer," end quote, and that the natural gas boom made possible by hydraulic fracturing has led to, quote, "greater energy independence, and we need to encourage that," end quote. In fact, even the current administration of the EPA said, quote, "There's nothing inherently dangerous in fracking that sound engineering practices can't accomplish," end quote. Then why does the EPA repeatedly and publicly begin with the premise that hydraulic fracturing causes water contamination, only to be forced to retract their premise after the claims are subjected to scientific scrutiny? Meanwhile, the allegations make headlines, the retractions are footnotes. The EPA's bias against fracking is the opposite of the accepted scientific method. Hydraulic fracturing is a proven, safe technology that has made America an energy leader. Yet there are still those that believe that regardless of the science, the process should be banned. Activists have spread misinformation about the science in an attempt to convince Americans that there is no way fracking can be done safely. The administration relies on questionable studies and reports that are paid for, peer-reviewed by, and disseminated by a network of environmentalists with an ideological agenda. Using scare tactics to impede the development of oil and gas will cost our communities jobs, our state's revenue, and will force us to increase our dependence on foreign oil. Safe domestic natural gas production has benefited the environment, the economy, and the hard-working families who now enjoy reduced energy cost.